Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I wish the mercy, peace, and blessings of Allah on everyone. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The name, the attribute, the description of Allah, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. He is the most righteous. He is the most merciful, the most compassionate, the most beneficent, all of those things. My name is Ismail Bilal Salim, talking to you live from Masjid William Salam. I am a speaker for Black Dawah Network, and every Sunday at 1 p.m. I talk about comparative religion. And as I say at the beginning of all my talks, so I should say that God is the source of all truth. He is the Haqq, and all truth comes from Him. So everything that I convey of the truth is from God. He deserves all the credit, all the praise, and only the errors are my own. Now, yesterday, when I was thinking of a subject to speak about, I was a little concerned, because I had been doing a series of talks on Jesus, or Isa alayhi salam. And with the current climate, I was wondering if I should continue that or talk about something different, something pertaining to what is affecting us today. With the effects of COVID-19 disproportionately affecting African Americans, unemployment disproportionately affecting African Americans, people losing their health care, millions of people, again, disproportionately affecting African Americans, people who are concerned about losing Social Security, the post office not working as it should, or people doing things to dissuade people from voting or sending their ballot in, police brutality, racial injustice, and now the passing of our heroes, whether they are in sports or entertainment. I felt that we have been given blow after blow, so I was trying to figure out what we should talk about. So while people perceive Kobe Bryant as a hero because of his tenacity in basketball, the same with Chadwick Boseman in the characters and roles that he played, and the inspiration that he gave people from those roles, I felt that it was good to give a story of our heroes and heroines, real life stories of them, so maybe that can help through these trying times. So let me tell you a story about an amazing African woman, perhaps the greatest woman that ever lived. This African woman was chosen by God. The story starts off with another African woman who is pregnant, and this mother-to-be vows to pledge her child to the services of the place of worship. She is expecting, however, a son, and the baby is born, and it is a daughter. So this new mother was surprised, but still grateful for this daughter that she has just gave birth to. You see, the service of sons and daughters are different in their place of worship, but still the daughter is committed to a service in this place of worship. And this African mother knew that her African daughter was special, and so did all of her relatives and friends and all the people around them. So much so before this African girl was born, her father passed away. And as I said, people realized that this girl was something special, so people were clamoring, they were fighting, arguing, trying to be her guardian. What we might say is a godfather of this child. So what they did was they casted lots, something similar to rolling dice or playing cards or drawing straws. And with that, there was an argument. But ultimately, it came to pass that the winner was this older African man. Now, this man was a very wise man and a righteous man. He taught his other African people submission to God. This African man was also a prophet of God, which means that he was the most righteous man on earth at that time and chosen by God to deliver his message to his people as well as anyone else that he came in contact with. So in the meantime, this little girl is growing into a teenager. She is still in the care of this old wise man. And it is said that this girl had a great and pleasant upbringing. And she is giving service in the place of worship just as her mother had hoped. But in this man, this older man's in his older age, he wanted to carry on his legacy. He wanted a child, specifically a son, to carry on his legacy. And his wife, who was also an African woman, happened to be barren. So while taking care of this teenage girl, he noticed that whenever he went into the sanctuary or the place of worship, she always had food around her. Now, she was the only one in the sanctuary. So he would ask, where did this food come from? And she said, God provides for whomever he wills without limit. Now, this girl gave this older man an idea that perhaps he should take his problems to God. Now, this man is already a prophet of God. He's already been delivering the message, but still he is getting an idea from this African teenage girl that perhaps he should take his problems to God. So he prays earnestly to God for a son. And God sends an angel to this African man. And the angel says, you and your wife will have a son, and he will be righteous and honorable, and he will be a chaste man. And he will be like yourself, a prophet of God, which means he will be the most righteous person on the land and teaching other people to come and join him in worshiping God. Now, this old man was in complete and utter disbelief. He said, how can I have a son when I'm old and my wife is barren? And the angel said, God does what he wills. He said, the angel said, this thing is easy for God. He says, didn't God create you when you were nothing? So he's reasoning with this man, saying that before human beings existed, they were non-existent, and then God brought them into being. So if he can create you from nothing, then he can create a son from an older man and a barren woman. So he is reasoning with him, telling him that God does what he wills. So God also named this son to be a name that was special to him and him only. But while this old man and this barren woman became pregnant, something else strange happened to this African teenage girl. Now, this teenage girl goes by many different monikers, attributes. She is called the Kanita, meaning that she is in constant submission to God, absorbed in praying and invocation. So much so that she is in the temple praying alone to God repeatedly. She is called the Sadiqa, meaning that she confirms the truth, and she has great faith, and she believes with complete sincerity. She is called Sajida, meaning she prostrates to God in worship. She is called Rakia, meaning she bows down to God in worship. She is called Sa'ima, meaning one who fasts for God. She is also called Tahira and Mustafia, meaning that she is purified and chosen. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. So this chosen African woman, let us be introduced to who she is. وَإِذَا قَالَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ يَا مَرْيَمُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ اسْتَكْفَاكِ وَطَهَّرَكِ وَاصْطَفَاكِ عَلَى نِسَاءِ الْعَالَمِينَ. And angels, behold, angels said, O Mary, Allah has chosen you, purified you, chose you above the women of all nations. I said this teenage girl who is now a woman was African because Israel and Palestine is in Africa. The entire Middle East is Africa. I saw this documentary called The Village of Peace, and they said they were returning to Africa, and they live currently in Israel because Israel is Africa. I made a couple of copies of some pictures that hopefully you will be able to see. If you see here closely, this is Egypt. This is what we call Africa. Right beside it, connected to it, is Palestine, Jordan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and Oman. They are connected to this place because it is all Africa. Let me give you a broader view. If you see here, this place down the bottom, this place here is Madagascar. It is not connected to Africa at all. Meanwhile, this place that they call the Middle East, which doesn't exist because there's no such thing as a Middle West, is connected to Africa because it is Africa. What that means, do you know what that means? That means that everyone in the Bible is from Africa. And the Bible takes place in Africa. All of it. And everybody in there is African. So this African woman is the only woman mentioned by name in the Quran. She is referenced at least 70 times by Allah in the Quran. The Quran mentions her more times than the Bible actually does. This African woman is explicitly identified as the greatest woman walking the earth, at least at that time. An entire chapter is dedicated to her. Another chapter is dedicated to her family. Do you know why that is? It is for the same reason that we commemorate the struggle of Hagar, another African woman, because her chastity was called into question. And like the African Aisha and her accusers received lashes for wrongfully accusing her of adultery. Allah makes certain that the dignity of righteous women is always upheld. If it is important to him, then it should be important to us. It is so important that it is integral in our adherence, it is reflected in our Hajj and in our Umrah and in entire verses and chapters of the Quran to exonerate these women of these false allegations. And the importance is shown within the story of Mary when she is accused of being unchaste. She presents to her people a child without a father. This is a people who adhere to rules that say that you stone a woman who commits fornication or adultery. So the question is, how did she escape punishment? How did she escape being stoned? Let us find out what this African woman was chosen for. The angel continues, O Mary, be devoted to your Lord and prostrate in prayer and bow down with those who bow down. This is a part of the tidings unseen, which we reveal to you, Muhammad. Now let me stop here and say this, that These are the words coming out of Muhammad's mouth into an audience, a crowd of people who are Jews, Christians, and people who believe in multiple gods. And he is saying, this is something that is unseen, that is revealed to you, speaking to himself. And he's saying, he said, you were not there when they casted lots. Remember, I said those people casted lots to be in charge, the guardian of this African girl. And he said, you weren't there when they cast a lot to be in charge of her, nor were you there when they disputed the point. Now think, this is coming from the mouth of the man saying, you didn't know this. He is asking the people and beckoning and asking the reader, how did he know this information? The same way a couple of weeks ago I asked you, how did he know geography? Did he know oceanography? Did he know biology? Did he know embryology? Did he know the hieroglyphs? How did he know these things? How did he know these stories which are not in the Bible? And as I said, the Bible was not translated into Arabic, and he couldn't read it anyway. So how did he know these things? So in the middle of this story, Allah is asking you, how does he know this stuff? Okay? And the angel says, وَإِذْ قَلَاتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ يَا مَرْيَمُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُبَاشَرِكِ بِكَلِمَاتٍ مِّنْهُ اسمه مسيح عيسى بن مريم وجاء في الدنيا وآخرات ومن المقربين. Behold, the angels said, O Mary, Allah gives you glad tidings of a word from him. His name will be the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, held in honor in this world and in the hereafter, and of those nearest to Allah. He will be in the company of he will speak to the people in childhood and in maturity, and be in the company of the righteous. And what does she say in response? She says, قَالَتْ رَبِّي أَنَّ يَكُونُ لِي وَلَدٌ وَلَمْ يَمْسَسْنِي بَشَرٌ. She says, my Lord, how can I have a son when no man has touched me? And the angel replies to her, قَالَ كَذَلِكَ فَكَذَلِكِ اللَّهُ يَخْلُقُ مَا يَشَاءُ إِذَا قَضَى أَمْرًا فَإِنَّمَا يَقُولُ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُونُ. The angel said, even so Allah creates what he wills. When he decrees a matter, he but says to it be, and it comes into existence. Whatever Allah wants, it comes into existence. And he will teach this man, this son Isa, her son, he will teach him the book and the wisdom and the law and the gospel. And this man will say, I am a messenger sent to the children of Israel. I have come to you with a sign from God, that he can make clay into the form of a bird and blow into it, and that bird will come into existence by Allah's permission, that he will heal those born blind and the lepers and raise people from the dead by God's permission, and he will declare what they eat and what they store in their houses. And these are signs for those who truly believe, is what this lady is being told. So what she does is travels far to the east. This African teenager who's probably 18, 19 years old, she travels far from her family to what is said to be the east. And she puts a screen around herself so nobody can see her. And then an angel appears to her in all respects of a man, and she's afraid. She's scared. She seeks refuge with God, and she hopes that this man, whoever he is, also fears God. And he says, قَالَ إِنَّمَا أَنَّا رَسُولُ رَبِّكِ لِأَهَبَّ لَكِ غَلَامًا زَكِيًّا. He says, I am only a messenger of your Lord to give you guidance or news of a pure son. And again she says, قَالَ أَنَّا يَكُونُ لِي غَلَامُ وَلَمْ مسسني بشار ولم أك بغايا. She says, how can I have a boy when no man has touched me and I am not unchaste? And he says, قال كذلك قال ربك هو علي هين ولنجعله يا آية للناس ورحمة منا وقال أمر مقسيا. He says, so it is, your Lord says it is easy for me. Again, he created the whole universe from nothing. It is easy to make a son without a father. And he will be a sign and a mercy from us. And the matter is already decreed. So she conceives, she has a child, or she has a stomach, she becomes pregnant and has the baby in her stomach. And she withdrew to a remote place. And she is in agony and pain, this African woman by herself in this remote place in the east, giving birth on her own. She wishes death upon herself, hoping that she could be forgotten and removed into oblivion. And Allah brings an angel. The angel comforts her, says there's a stream underneath her, and if she shakes the palm tree, dates will fall out. So she drinks and she eats and becomes comforted. And ultimately, she gives birth to this son. And then she brings this son before the people. I told you, the people who thought it was the right thing to do to stone her, right? To punish her for this unlawful sex that she had to have in order to conceive this child. So she brings them before them. And they say, "Oh, Mary, you have brought forth something that is unprecedented, something I've never seen before, something never done before." And they appeal to her family. They say, "Oh, sister of Aaron, sister of Harun," because she is from the lineage of Moses' brother Aaron, right? She says, they are saying you are from the lineage of a prophet of God. They also say your father was not evil and your mother was not unchaste. In other words, you come from a long line of righteous people. Why do you come to us with a baby knowing you had sex and you're not going to tell us the truth? And what does she do? She's merely, this is the climax of the movie. She merely points to the child. She points to the baby that she is carrying in her arms. And they say, how can we speak to someone who is a child in the cradle? قال إني عبد الله أتاني الكتاب وجعلني نبيا. This woman, this African woman, brings before her African people who are about to chastise her a baby and points to him. This is the first recorded miracle of Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, in the Quran. He says, "Indeed, I am a servant of Allah. He has given me scripture and made me a prophet." That's why she was never stoned. Peace.